This episode of the Two Nerds podcast was sponsored by the Nixxiom Corner Store and Craigslist.com. 5 o'clock in the morning. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every time you open up the radio in the morning, it's just like all that like funky ass music and shit, and there's some guy going like, "This just in, damn son, where'd you find that?"
Yeah, we actually did that as like a parody thing on Cox and Crendor. Now it's been our opening for like 7 years.
I love it. We need to.
It's just like, wake your ass up.
Wake your ass up. We need to do something like that for this podcast. We'll have to find like either like a Fiverr person to make it that like knows something about sound design, or maybe one of you guys listening can make us like a real cool like wow intro.
Yeah,
that'd be badass.
That would be pretty badass.
Yes, and then we can just like ruin everything, like every single episode by starting it with that god awful like loud ear raping noise.
I love it.
Yeah. I love it. It's great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty all right. You
Yeah.
know. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I felt a little bit sick earlier today, I admit. I was I don't know, last night I felt kind of sick, kind of ill. Not corona, but I just kind of felt like a little like bleh. Yeah. And then I was driving around today and I just felt, I don't know, I just felt like a little nauseous. So I came home, I laid down in bed, and I just rested for a bit. I just woke up like maybe, well, now it's probably like 2 hours ago. And I feel pretty good now. I just drank a Red Bull, so I'm probably going to be up pretty late tonight. I know that you're going to stream tonight.
Yeah.
So I'll probably like lurk on your stream a little bit as I'm like working on videos and recording stuff. And we'll see, because I might be recording, so I might not be able to.
Yeah.
But whatever. Either way.
Yeah.
You know. But
It's
yeah,
all good.
I can't complain. I'm feeling
good.
pretty good.
I've just been playing like some old GameCube games. That's been fun.
Yeah.
I'll probably do some more of that. I'm trying to get a memory card, because like all the memory cards they sell are these shitty ass knockoff memory cards that don't work. So I had to buy one on eBay that was like a real one.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. So I can actually save games. So I'm playing with my Wii, because the Wii is backward compatible with GameCube stuff. So now it's my Wii is actually useful.
I actually need to buy a one of those like adapter things to like hook up a Switch to a computer.
Oh yeah.
What are those things called? You know?
Capture cards.
Oh. Don't you need like a certain version? It's like the S something. Capture cards for streaming. Man, what's all this shit?
I mean, there's probably a billion capture cards at this point.
Do you have one that's actually in your computer, or is it like a thing you just like plug in?
Mine's one you can plug in. I actually use the Razer Ripsaw, and I don't know if they make it anymore.
The Razer Ripsaw. Let's look it up, shall we?
Yeah.
Razer Ripsaw HD. There he is. $139. A 4K pass-through, 4K Full HD, 1080p, 60 FPS, USB game capture, ultra low latency, blah blah blah. That?
Yeah.
Nice. It's like red and shit.
The one I got's green.
Ew.
But
wait, yeah, this isn't the Razer. This is Avermedia. What are you doing?
No, here, I'll just link you the thing.
Yeah, link me a thing.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, because I wanna play some like Switch games on my stream. Oh, dude, here it is. Let's look at it. Wow, that's expensive.
Well, this is I think their newer one. I have like the older version.
Do you want to buy it for me?
No.
Why? No. Think of everything I've done for you.
It's like where they do the like little flashback cutscene thing of like my head just trying to think, and it's just nothing's there.
I've done plenty. I did that thing.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought this one because, well, the older version of this one, because every time I would get a capture card, they would suck ass. And so, yeah, I'd like try with there's like Avermedia, there was, what's the other one? The Elgato.
Yeah.
And they would always lag.
Yeah.
Right?
That was my issue.
Yeah, it's like the audio is like a couple seconds behind the actual game. I'm trying to play it on the screen, and then the audio doesn't add up, and I'm like, it's stupid as shit. So when I got this one, is perfect. No lag with it. Like if there is lag, it's like milliseconds. Like it's not even noticeable.
So how does this work? Like how do you stick it in, Krendor? Do you like
that is what
that
she said.
Yeah. Like do you just like plug it into this little tiny like box, like the Switch, and then like you would plug the Switch or the computer then into this box?
The Switch itself has the little dock, right?
Yes.
So you put the Switch in the dock, and that has an HDMI port in it. So you plug an HDMI cable into the port, and then you plug the other, instead of plugging it into a TV or a monitor or some shit, you plug it into this. And then you run an HDMI cable in the out, so it's got an in and out. You plug that in the in, and the out goes from wherever you want it to like the computer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see. This is fascinating. Because they have like this fancy picture. I know that you guys listening to this like are probably sitting there like, why the fuck did you guys not talk about this like off recording? Deal with it. It's our podcast. Like they have like a picture on the website, razer.com/gaming broadcaster /Razer Ripsaw HD. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you can hook up like a gaming PC and then a streaming PC to this little thing. And then it's like you can have two computers plugged into this thing. And then you can be like, I'm going to stream off this computer, but I'm going to play video games on this computer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. This new one's all fancy and stuff. It's got like microphone, headset. Mine doesn't have any and shit. Mine just has the back cable. So it's got two HDMIs and a USB-C to USB-A.
Yes.
So, and I mean, once you plug it in, then you just pick it up. Like you can play it on a monitor or whatever, but I just play it through OBS because I'm just like, whatever, I'm lazy.
Yeah, maybe you'll have to give me a tutorial on how to do all that when I get it, or I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Honestly, it's pretty simplistic. This one, at least. You just need the driver, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know about all the other ones.
Nice. Well, thank you.
But I've played my Switch on it, Xbox, PS4. I've done all three consoles.
They're like literally sold out everywhere.
I think it's because they're the best one, honestly.
Well, I found one on Amazon. It's not the same thing. It's just like, yeah. I feel though that we should talk about something more like like more this is like behind the scenes like streamer shit right now. This is what you guys come here for. Yeah. You know?
I mean,
we talk tech,
trying to get into streaming and tech and YouTube and whatever.
That is true. Yeah, someone might be watching this going, I need that too. You know, so it's perfect. Nice. Cool. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, hold on. Let's move subjects. We'll discuss technology later.
Yes.
Yes. What are we talking about today?
Well, the first thing I wanted to bring up was that Twitch clip of that girl that's like, if you're watching me, you should give me money.
Oh, great. Okay.
So, she's dumb.
All right.
So that's the main point I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
So it's
Do you want to explain the context of this situation to people?
I will. So there's a Twitch clip going around. I'm sure you've seen it, of this girl being like, if you are watching me, it's free entertainment. You should be giving me money. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, you should have a job. If you have at least $10, you should be giving me money. And if you don't have at least $10, why are you here? Why aren't you out working?
Yeah.
So that's the premise of her argument. And then I think the most frustrating part of this is she tries to do the thing where she comes across as an intellectual.
Yes.
Right? She's like, I have such good comebacks. And like, ha ha ha. She even does a little like, ha ha. And it's like, just because you talk like that doesn't mean anything. So the first thing is, Twitch in itself is a platform where you're a street performer, right?
Yeah.
If you don't give $1 to the guy playing the saxophone on the corner of the street, if you don't put $1 in his bucket, is he going to stand up and be like, "Hey, I know you have a job, you dumb bitch. Put $1 in the bucket."
Yeah.
Right? No. He's doing that in hopes of somebody being like, "Oh, hey, man, nice job." Right? He's providing some sort of service, and if people like it, they can give him money.
Yeah.
And that's what Twitch is, right? You provide entertainment, and if people enjoy that entertainment, they can give you money.
Yeah.
So in her entitled viewpoint, it's like, I am such a good entertainer that if people aren't giving me money, it's you that are the incorrect one.
Yes.
Because I am great. That seems like what this boils down to.
Yes. I mean, Lucy, my puppy, she keeps whining. Totally off topic. We actually just got my little puppy spayed. So she's currently a giant cone head at the moment, just kind of laying around going like, mm.
That was the worst with Cat, or he had to get neutered.
Cat.
He just had his cone, and he's just like running around like a crazy cat. Cats don't give a shit. It was like bumping into the walls and trying to jump on things.
Oh, the worst is when she just charges through the house, like, and then she'll just that cone will just clip like a door or like an edge somewhere. It's just like I'm like afraid she broke her neck. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's been like 3 or 4 days now, so she's like kind of getting back to normal. So she's starting to whine and be annoying again. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But no. Yeah. I mean, honestly, everything that you just said is what I would have said. Like the whole idea of you're just a street performer, and it's just pure chaos. If you go into Twitch, and you're going to be a streamer, you have to understand that you're guaranteed nothing. Like maybe someone will watch you and donate $5,000 to your stream. Maybe you'll get lucky and Mr. Beast will come on there and give you $1 million and make a YouTube video out of it and make you famous. But most likely that's not going to happen. Yeah. And you just kind of got to accept what you get. If you get a Twitch Prime, you do. If you don't, you don't. And just, I think that a lot of people, in my opinion, so when it comes to Twitch, I got some advice a long time ago, even before I started streaming. And it was never, ever, ever rely on people's generosity and consider it a part of your income. Ever. Because you never know what's going to happen. And I've made that mistake before in my life. Like I've, even after streaming, like I'll start streaming and I have a really good month. Hey, I did really well. I got lots of subs this month. Man, I'm doing great. But next month, I'm not doing so great. And then, oh man, I feel miserable and bad and blah, blah, blah. And then I'll remember that advice and be like, yes. But I think that a lot of people, when they get into Twitch, they see it as like an easy path to make money. Mm-hmm. Like, just turn on the webcam, stream, talk about your asshole a little bit, and then people will donate to you and like ask for like feet pictures and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. And that's Twitch, but it's not. Lucy, stop whining. You just keep whining. It's not even like and then like a minute later, it's just like, So hopefully the mic isn't picking up on that. Yeah, she's just laying beside me, like in this big old bed. Shut up.
I only heard it a tiny bit.
Okay, that was good. So if you guys hear whining in the background, it's not my fault. It's my puppy. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like when I stream on Twitch, I just go in expecting nothing. And I found that like I enjoy Twitch just a lot more if I have that mentality. But the moment that I start like setting goals, like I remember one time back when I first started Twitch streaming, I had this thing where I was like, okay, I have to keep streaming until I've made at least $20.
Mm-hmm.
That was stupid. Because, I mean, you could be streaming literally all day. So it's just stream because you want to. Those are my thoughts. I just agree with everything that you said. I can't really say anything else.
And she goes on to say, like, oh, a broke 19-year-old college student subscribed, so someone with more money should subscribe. And she's like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. She's not asking for a large financial contribution.
Yeah.
She's just asking for $5. That's it, guys. Only $5. Like, that's not a big deal.
I know.
Right.
How could she? What she should
and
have said, instead of like being like a stupid bitch and saying, oh, you know, acting like an entitled cunt, you know, begging for money, what she should have said is, you all have jobs, okay? And this 19-year-old can afford to like sub to me. And I know you guys got jobs. So that means that you should go to Crensloth.com or the Nixxiom Corner Store. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That is fine and perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
But how could she?
I think the issue is there's nothing wrong with asking for subs or money or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the problem is when you start attacking people for it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what she did. She's like, why aren't you guys doing it? Like, you start actively attacking other people because of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem lies.
Yes.
Where it's like, whoa, I just came here to like see what was happening, see what's going on, and now I'm getting attacked because I didn't give this woman money. Or, you know, I mean, it could be anybody. It could be that one guy who was like, guys, we didn't hit the sub goal of 20 subs. I'm shutting off the stream. And then he shut it off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that shouldn't, in the grand scheme of these things, that shouldn't be your goal. Your end goal shouldn't be money. Your end goal should be having fun and creating an entertaining stream and, you know, whatever it might be for people to come to. And when they enjoy that stream so much and, you know, you help people with boredom or maybe they're having a hard time and you help them pass the time and forget about whatever they're thinking about, then they'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to tip this guy some money because, you know, they helped me pass the time or whatever it might be. And that's really what it should be. Or when they sub, like, hey, you know what? I've watched this person long enough to where I want to support them because I know what I'm going to get and I appreciate that about them.
I think that if you're going to do like sub goals or like donation goals on Twitch, my favorite to do is if I were to do a donation goal, I just make it ridiculous. Like, I'll be like, guys, I need a lot of help today. I'm just looking for a small loan of $1 million. You know, I'll literally make a donation goal of $1 million. Like, guys, come on, like, you know, hit up Big Poppy, like, give me some of that shit, you know,
or like the opposite of like we need $4.
No, I'll put it like I'll be like $1 or like a penny. Like I'm like, come on, guys, like just think of me, the starving streamer. Like, I need that penny, like, or the dollar, like whatever. Same with the sub goals. Or like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just a lot of people had hit this point. I don't know if this is the case, but I almost feel like the case is they've hit a point where they made a lot of money doing this.
Yeah.
And maybe now they're kind of in a downward spiral of losing subs and losing viewers for whatever reason. Maybe people aren't donating as much because they don't have a job. Maybe they're just losing viewers because other people they're you know, finding other streamers to watch or whatever. And so they're like, oh my God, you know, I'm down in bits, I'm down in subs, I'm down in everything. And so there's that kind of that panic, that fear. It's kind of right there. And so they kind of lash out because of panic and fear. Because, you know, who would panic and, you know, do things like buy out an entire store of toilet paper? Nobody would do that. Yeah. So you just, you know, you start being like, come on, right? Give me money, right? I need money. How am I supposed to pay rent? So they start yelling. Yeah. And it becomes not fun. And I think that starts to show people's true colors. Yeah. Right? When fear sets in, people become who they really are.
Yeah. I think as well, something that you can do to maybe offer some advices to someone that might be listening and maybe they've hit that point or they're afraid they will hit that point if they ever start streaming. You are boring. I'll begin with that. There is only so many times you can make the penis joke before people get sick of it. There's only so many times you can make the pun before people are like, oh, there's the pun again. Like, you will get boring. Like, and that's why I think it's good where if you do feel like you're on a downward spiral, one of the best things that you can do is bring other people onto the stream. Because suddenly you're bringing these new personalities on. Like for me, what I've been doing recently, I've never really given that much of a damn about streaming. Like, I've never been like, oh yeah, I want to be like a massive streamer. And we've talked about that in previous podcast episodes. But something that I've been doing recently, because I have these people staying with me in my home, when I've been streaming, I've been doing LAN parties. Like, I'm sitting here, friend Toby is sitting there, my friend Fishy is sitting over there, and I literally have a room cam where you can see all of us, like, just sitting in this room, and we do stupid shit like, oh, every time somebody subscribes, like, one of us will get up and fucking dance or something. And we just kind of like dick around and laugh and like blah blah blah. Like we did this like one like late night stream where we like discussed like the intimacies of like Harry Potter, and like we just have fun. And I've noticed that since I've started doing that, like my viewership has been going up a lot. Like, you know, just very steady. You know, like every stream, like, oh, you know, maybe like an extra 25 people are watching, because it's fun. Like, there's only so much fun one person and one personality can bring, you know, especially over the course of several hours. But if you have like a bunch of people, like, you know, going off of each other constantly and laughing, it's great. Think about it this way. Game Grumps would never have been as popular as it is if it was called Game Grump.
Yeah.
Think of it like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, even like from my own personal experience, like I wouldn't be where I am without even like the co-optional podcast, which had TB and Jesse and Dodger.
Yeah.
And then that branched off into just me and Jesse.
Oh, God.
You know?
My dog.
So it's like...
go on.
No, your dog what?
She walked over here and was just like... And I started petting her and... Oh, God. Like, fucking... Breath stinks. Gotta get her one of those like fucking chewy mint bone things. Like, dog, it's like rotten meat. I think it's time for you to go over there and lay down. Time for you can go away now. Yeah. Continue. Co-optional podcast.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's you know, the way you interact with other people changes your personality in a way.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I'm around, like when I would go on co-optional, I would always be the goofy kind of like, what's he gonna do this time? So there'd be like, oh, talking about video games today, and then Dodger was just like, hee, and Jesse was like, well, I'm the goofy guy, and I'd be like, guys, what if, right? What if I bought a bunch of snacks at the grocery store and I'm gonna eat them right now live, and they just be like, what the shit?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I enjoyed being that wild card, and if it was just me doing that on my own, you know, stream or video or whatever, people'd be like, what the shit is happening? Yeah. But it's kind of like you're throwing a wrench into the system. And so you become, you know, you almost become like a character in a show, right? And then you don't have to just be that. I think that's the big thing. Like when I'm by myself, I become much more serious and like down to earth, but I'm still, you know, having a good time or whatever. But, you know, and then when I'm on Cox and Crendor, I'm more of like the, you know, I'm the yin to the yang. He's like the, whoa, what's up, guys? And I'm like the, okay.
Yeah.
And I like to think on this podcast, I'm a little in between. Like I got my serious side and my like kind of goofy chill side. So I think this is actually a really nice chill side. It's probably where I'm one of the most realistic, honestly.
I
like myself.
I honestly was going to say the same thing. Like having listened to Cox and Crendor and your streams and whatever, I tend to find that when we do our podcasty things, you're very like normal. Like there's no emphasis put on anything. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, it's me. Yeah. You know,
and I think even just even through like the years, I've become more myself just from getting older and maturing.
Yeah.
But you know, I think being around different people does change your personality, even if it's a tiny bit.
Here's the thing. This is all I guess we're trying to say. Well, I'm trying to say anyway. Your viewers are not the problem.
Yeah.
You are the problem. If you own a shop and you sell apples and no one's buying apples, that's not the world's fault. That's your fault. You're doing something wrong. Location.
No, it's the
prices,
children who are wrong.
Like, the who?
It's the Principal Skinner meme where he's like, no, it is the children who are wrong.
I've not seen that.
The Simpsons?
Principal
Skinner?
I've never seen a single episode of The Simpsons.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
What?
All right. Well, All right, that's fine.
Leans away from microphone. What?
What?
Yeah, I remember when I was growing up, I would watch Family Guy back when I thought Family Guy was funny. And no offense to anybody. And then I remember someone was like, "Let's watch The Simpsons," and they started like playing it, and I was like, "Oh, it's just Family Guy, but everyone's yellow." Like, I don't like this. And then after at some point, I stopped watching television. Like I don't even remember the last time I watched television, to be honest. I watch like movies and stuff, or I'll watch YouTube on my TV, but not like TV. And then after that, I kind of was like, man, all these shows that I used to like suck, except for Futurama. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Futurama is the same guy who made The Simpsons.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Neat.
So The Simpsons actually has very like Futurama-esque humor. It was just that was his show he made after The Simpsons.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. Well,
so honestly, if you watch like the early seasons of The Simpsons, you'd probably like it.
No, I don't want to do that, because what's going to happen is I might like it, and like The Simpsons has like 500 seasons. You know, it's kind of like one time. Like here's a fun story for you. So, long time ago, I remember someone was talking to me about Breaking Bad, and they were like, "Oh, like you got to watch Breaking Bad. It's the best TV show ever made." And I was like, "Okay." Like, whatever, I'll watch it. So I watched a few episodes, and I was like, oh, this is really, really good. And I started, watching just more and more episodes. And I was spending, like, my days watching, like, 2 episodes, 3 episodes, like, binging them. And eventually, like, after about a week of doing this or something, however long it was, I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, this is, like, I have to work. Like, I have a life to live. Like, and let me tell you something. Sitting on the goddamn couch watching Walter White do shit with his life is not me doing shit with mine. So what I did, I mean, this is just who I am. I just went in my room and looked up the Wikipedia article, like Breaking Bad, and I just read everything that was going to happen. And I was like, okay, cool. I know what's going to happen now. And then I just went back to work on my life. And then eventually later on, I came back and watched the episodes and finished it, albeit a lot slower, like one episode every now and then, because I already knew everything that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. So, that's just me. When you're self-employed, you got to work every day. And you ain't got time to be sitting and watching shit. And that was back when I was still growing my brand and business and things. And I was busy. I could not afford distractions.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that. I like getting into that mindset.
I got a lot of my humor just from The Simpsons, like growing up, because I would always watch it, even when I was like, 8, 9 years old. Like I'd always watch like Simpsons episodes when I'd, just be doing nothing. So I kind of grew up on that. So I've seen like almost everyone, all the old ones at least. I haven't seen new ones.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I was going to talk a little about continuing from our last podcast.
Okay.
About life improvement and stuff like that. And speaking of like this egotistical girl who's like, give me money. I wanted to talk about when I was more egotistical, which I would say was probably like, hey,
oh, sorry.
Back in the day, like I'd say maybe like in my early 20s, I'll say like 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like when I was hitting my machinima stride. You know what I mean? Like, I'd make machinimas and all these videos and everything, and I'd get, a good amount of views. I was in the top 500 on YouTube at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, man, like, I'm doing great. And I think every YouTuber or Twitch streamer to an extent goes through this, because you go from being a nerdy type of introvert person to getting all this attention and people being like, oh, you're awesome. I love your videos. This is great. And you start making money doing what you love. And you're like, dude, I'm kind of awesome. Right. And so you start kind of getting in your head a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of carries into other conversations of your life. Mm-hmm. So I remember even being on shows and things being like, oh, well, I'm Wild Crendor, right? I'm this type of person. Now when I go back and listen to that, I just hate myself. But I think everybody has to go through that if you become a YouTube for a Twitch person. And I think it's kind of scary for younger people that have it happen to them, like even under 18, like these kids on TikTok and all these, things. Like, it's, I don't know. I don't know if I want to get my ego that big that early, because then you become like child star people, right? Where they end up on cocaine by their 20.
Yeah,
and they're like living in the streets at like 25.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say what really helped balance out my ego would probably be a few things. One was being in a relationship, so toaster woman. The other one was going through health issues. Health issues will definitely sort you straight, because then you start just valuing your health and life in general. And then the other was just other people, right? So even, you go through all this and you're like, yeah, this is great. Me and my friends were doing all this YouTube stuff and making money. And then, things like TB dying, right? When you have one of your close friends that helped you get to where you are, it was like one of these big internet personalities, and you actually knew them in real life and they just die. It kind of puts everything back into perspective of like, none of this matters, right? Like, we're just doing this like, because, it doesn't matter. So it's like you start realizing, like, I don't even care about the money anymore. I just want to do what I love, because you're going to die. And so that helps lower your ego a bit. At least for me, it did.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. What do I think about what you just said? The ego.
Like, did you ever have an ego at any point?
Oh, I still have an ego. Oh, it's massive. It's the size of Jupiter. But I don't necessarily... I like people that have egos. I'm naturally very attracted to people that have egos, and big ones for that matter, because when you have an ego, you see a lot of worth in yourself. And I think there's too many people these days that don't see worth in themselves, and they're very depressed. And I think there's a difference, however, between you can have a healthy ego and an unhealthy ego. One of the things that I did with Nixxiom as I was growing, my YouTube channel, is I was like, oh, I know I have an ego. But I never want to get to a point kind of like what you're talking about, where I think I'm like the big shit. So what I did is I created a character, Nixxiom, who is very much based off of myself in many ways. And, he's got his big ego character, but he's also silly. He's someone that you can laugh at. And I, through my YouTube channel, I expressed myself a lot by doing things that I knew not everybody would enjoy, but I enjoyed it. Like, who the hell watches Nixxiom for tin whistle tutorials? Like, I just did that because I wanted to. And I think that I'd have to think about this for a bit, but the cool thing about your ego, it just depends on how you look at it. Your ego is how you view yourself, and it's like this sort of image of greater self-importance than you actually are. And it's almost like, you're going to have to give me a few minutes to really articulate these thoughts more, but your ego is what you could be, but you'll never reach. And so you should keep climbing towards it. You think you're the hot shit? Become the hot shit, but your ego will always be a little bit bigger. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yes. So, I don't know. It just depends on how you use it. Essentially, don't be an asshole about it. You can be proud of yourself, and you can be like, yeah, I'm pretty cool. I'm really happy and proud of who I am, and, blah, blah, blah. But you should also have the humble side of yourself where you can, like, giggle at yourself and laugh, and not so sensitive that if somebody says, like, oh, you're fat online, you're like, oh, how dare you? And,
yeah, that's when you hit the point of like the teen girl who's just like, you don't even know me. If you don't deserve me at my best, my worst.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think part of it is just also gaining confidence. I think back then I lacked a lot of confidence just in myself. Like, I think even though I had that ego, I didn't really like myself at the same time.
Okay.
And so I think going through more life and maturing and stuff, I still, I'm still obviously, like you said, I still have an ego a bit of liking myself. I feel like everybody that does this as a job has an ego, or even as a
Yeah.
hobby, they have an ego about themselves.
Oh, you have to have an ego to be a successful business person.
Yeah.
No doubt. Any business book you open up is going to say that. It's like if you don't have an ego, if you don't think you deserve a little bit more, you're never going to go out and get a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, any successful person needs to have an ego. I mean, from Alexander the Great to Carolus Rex, like everyone. So that's what I mean, where you can use it to take yourself somewhere, or you can use it to just, like that one fucking chick you're talking about, or that asshole kid that, he thinks he's so cool, but he's actually not, and there's nothing really cool or exciting about him. You know?
There's always a happy middle ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Proud yet humble.
Yeah.
Strong yet gentle.
Yeah.
So,
is there another life tip you wanted to add in? Because I know I brought up the ego.
Well, let's see. You got me thinking about the whole ego thing a bit. I remember I used to me and my friends would talk about the ego years ago, and I had all these big little ideas and speeches I would give about the ego, but I don't really remember any right now. I do remember saying to them, though, that whole idea of oh, the ego is the eternal climb, because your ego is always bigger than you actually are. I remember saying stuff like that. But another life tip, a general life tip, or something to do with YouTube. And
I mean, whatever
Twitch.
you want. I have another one if you don't.
I don't have anything off the top of my head right now. I would say, just spitballing things here, never stop reading. If you think that your education stopped the day you walked out of your school doors, you're an idiot. Your education should never stop. The man, what's the quote? It's the man who, what is it? The man who refuses to learn cannot be helped, but the man who continues to learn cannot be stopped. Something like that.
I mean, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I have some stories behind that. I mean, when I got out of high school and I was going to community college, it was one of those things where I was doing all these classes, but at the same time I started doing YouTube. And so I was so interested in YouTube at that point, though. I was like, I just want to write scripts. So I'd write scripts in my math class and all these other classes. And then I took a marketing class because I thought that would help me. And it taught me marketing from the 80s. And I was like, I don't give a shit about marketing on TV.
Yeah.
And doing all these 80s things. So I went to the bookstore instead of going to my marketing class, and I started reading marketing books at the bookstore. And I learned so many things. I learned that one book I brought up a few podcasts back about the purple cow and standing out.
Yep.
I read one of the tips that I was going to bring up, which was being productive. And it was do something for 5 minutes. And it was if you want to do something, what's your brain do? Oh, I got to clean the kitchen. You're like, oh my God, that's so much work or whatever. And then he's in your mind, you got to trick your mind, right? Be like, you know what? I'm going to go in the kitchen. I'm going to clean the coffee pot, right? It'll take a few minutes and it'll be done. And when you do that, you're like, hey, you know what? I cleaned the coffee pot. I might as well clean the stove. And then you're like, I cleaned the stove. I might as well clean a thing. And so it's about getting yourself going. And that could be writing, or you're like, you know what? I'm just going to write 2 sentences. And when you start writing, you're like, you know what? I can do 5 sentences. I can do 2 paragraphs. I can do this. And you kind of just snowball.
Yeah.
So it's about just getting yourself to be like, you know what? This won't take that much work. And then by the end of it, you've done a whole bunch more than you thought you would. So that was another thing I learned. But just reading all these marketing books and stuff and self-help books taught me so much more than school did. And it taught me that you can indeed learn a lot more outside of school than in school.
Oh, dude, I could talk about that literally a whole podcast. School is a complete waste of time.
Yeah. They teach you how to memorize. That's it.
They teach you how to be an employee.
Yeah.
I remember, like schools teach you how to look at simple problems and find simple solutions. They also teach you to simply memorize things just to pass a test. And they teach you to do the same repetitive thing over and over and over. They teach you to be a factory worker. Like, that's it. One of the best pieces of advice that I got back in the day from reading, it was, if you want to be successful, the first thing you need to do is you need to stop and you need to humble yourself. And we're talking about money here and like business and shit for those that are interested in that. Stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like your employer. If you want to like actually be successful, if you look at like, I don't care who it is, and any successful like CEO business owner from, I don't remember her name, the CEO of Walmart or fucking Donald Trump or even like whoever, if you look at them and you're like, oh, they're fucking dumb, they're just like greedy. It's like, no, hold on. You need to back up for a second. Stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like an employer. What are some things that they do that you do not do? Maybe they invest. Well, they invest in the stock market and shit, for example. Well, that's risky. Well, then why do they do it? And apparently it works out really well for them. So clearly there's something that they're doing that you're not doing, because for them, they invest hundreds of millions of dollars or billions for some people, like Warren Buffett. And they don't see it as like risky and like a gamble or whatever. So what are they doing that you're not doing? Go figure it out. That's where the books come in. That's where the education comes in. Oh, they do real estate. Well, why do they do that? Go figure it out. Oh, they do this. Go figure it out. Like, what are they doing that you're not doing? And then just start snowballing.
I think what you said is very true. And I think the biggest thing they don't teach is curiosity. In fact, they kill curiosity.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because if you're like, why is this thing how it is? They'll be like, well, read the book. Or like, what does the book say? Or like, it's up to the teacher. The teacher is the supreme ruler of the class. So if you're like, oh, I found this cool new way to do it. And they're like, well, do it on your own time. We're doing it my way.
Yep.
Right? Like they destroy creativity.
Or what they do is they teach you to think in absolutes. This is probably one of the worst. Like, man, there's a lot I could say about this subject. God damn it.
We should just do a school episode or education system episode.
Honestly, yeah, we probably should. They teach you, for example, I had a conversation with someone one time, and we were having a conversation about business. And they were like, well, making money should be simple, right? All you need to do is know the math, like the equation for it. I do this, I do that, it equals this result. But I'm like, not really. It's a lot more complicated than that. I gave an example one time. One time me and my friends actually got into a debate about how do you approach a problem. This was actually recently. And they were saying they're like really big planners. They have like big planning personalities where they like a schedule and a structure. They like sort of writing on a piece of paper, I'm going to do this, and it's going to lead to this, which will lead to that, which will lead to this. And there's a time and a place for that. But when you're making a business, it usually doesn't work like that. In some regards, yes. But usually what happens is you make a plan, like I'm going to do this, and it's going to lead to this, and it's going to lead to that. What's probably going to happen is you're going to do step 1, and you're going to get to step 2, and then your dog dies. Or something happens. Or whatever. And now suddenly step 3 is impossible. Or now you're behind schedule. Or now there's a new problem, and you have to fix it. And, one of the things that I learned is that, very early on, it's that if you want to be a successful business owner or self-employed, you need to be a problem solver. You need to be someone who you don't rely on a structure. Instead, you sort of make a general plan, you begin to follow it, and when it falls apart, you recorrect the plan, and when that falls apart, you just constantly keep recorrecting, but you keep moving towards the goal. It's like infinite gray space until you hit like the peak, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a debate that we had where it was my personality, which I'm like, I focus on what's right in front of me. Like, I have to do this video. I have to do this stream. I have to write this chapter. I don't focus on what's happening 10 steps down the road. I don't even want to talk about what's 2 steps ahead necessarily. All I want to talk about is what do I have to do right now so that maybe 100 steps down the road I hit this goal.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I like to just live in the now. Even where people are like, "Oh, I know what I'm going to be eating next Friday." I'm like, "I don't know what I'm going to be eating tonight."
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Like,
yeah,
I'm just like, I don't know what I'll be in the mood for. I don't know how I'm going to feel. Like, I'm a very like, in the moment type of person. Yeah.
You may end up in a fucking honky tonk somewhere.
Yeah.
Just like drinking some beer, like hanging out and with some dude that you've never met before. Like, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Like, life is just infinite gray space where you just never know what's going to happen. And like, if you want to be successful, you just have to be constantly thinking of solutions to problems as they present themselves. And
I also know
hard.
It is hard, and that's why people don't want to do it. I also know a lot of people are like, well, what about doctors and lawyers and blah, blah. And it's like, well, sure, the school system's good for that because you don't want someone doing your surgery that's like, yeah, I'll wing it. Yeah. Right? Like, you want someone that's certified and has learned about the human body and surgery and knows what they're doing and blah, blah. And that's, we're not saying like, oh, school is bad for everyone. Like, it's good for certain professions. But the problem is they take everyone and they force you into that system when there's a lot of people that do not thrive at all in that system and are going to go into professions that don't need that system to be successful.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with being a doctor, but as a doctor, you're still an employee.
Yeah.
Unless you own your own, like, something. Like, the doctor might be making bank, but the guy who owns the hospital is making the real bank.
Yeah.
Like, you will never become rich through a paycheck from someone else. You either work to make yourself wealthy or you work to make another person wealthy. And most people, you are working to make another person wealthy. In many ways, even me and Krendor fall into that category. When we upload a YouTube video, the primary group of people that's making the bank is YouTube.
Yeah.
Not us.
Or even Twitch with subs and bits. Like, Twitch is still taking a good chunk of that.
If we made our own platform, though, like our own streaming, uploading, whatever, then, the shoe is on the other foot. Of course, then we have to engage in like direct competition with Twitch and YouTube. So might not be the best idea. But the point is that you need to create something that is all your own. And that is thinking like an employer, a creator, and a problem solver, an investor. And not just an investing in terms of money, but in terms of time and ideas and your creativity. So, yeah, that's a whole subject. So there's some advice for you.
Yeah. We got some more show ideas out of
that. Yeah. We can talk about school. I mean, school is good to teach you how to do basic math and how to read and write. And beyond that, having a bit of history is good too, although the history that, at least for me, that we learn in school or that I learned is garbage. It's not like real history. It's just sort of like everything gets really simplified. This is another thing that I really don't like about a lot of modern education. It's so simplified. Like, oh, why did this conflict happen in history? Oh, well, because of this very simple thing. Like, no. Like, oh, why did World War I happen? Oh, well, this guy got assassinated. No. Like, it's a lot more complicated than that. Oh, well, there was the treaties and shit as well, and blah, blah. No, it's even more complicated than that. Like, it's like infinitely complex. It's as infinitely complex as like the mind itself. I don't know. Like, I don't really want to get too much into the subject because it's literally a podcast by itself.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, all I'm trying to say is things get really simplified, and then I sort of have noticed that sometimes when I talk to people that they're not like self-made, I sort of see this in the way that they sort of look at things. Like everything needs to be simple or black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no. And even things.
I mean, you can even take streaming. Like people are like, how do I get big on YouTube or Twitch? And they want you to like give them the like formula.
Exactly. Just like that. Like, how do I get big? There isn't a formula. Like there's no formula to tell you how to get bigger on YouTube. If you buy a book that says how to get big on YouTube, I'm actually thinking about writing a book about how to like grow on YouTube. I can tell you the general shit. I can tell you how to title and tag and all that crap. But I can't tell you how to get big on YouTube. I can just tell you some of the steps that are along the way. But you have to figure it out. And then people are like, well, I don't know the answer. And they give up.
Yeah.
You know, because everything needs to be like a math problem. Very simple. All you got to do is throw in this equation and this result will happen. And that's not how life works.
And very short term. They want instant results. Like, I tried doing this for a week and it's not working. It's like, well, you need to try for a year. They're like, whoa, a year?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. I was doing YouTube when I was in middle school. I didn't start doing YouTube. Like, I was in middle school. Like, let's see, I was like, what? Like, that was like, what, 12 to 15 years old for me? Something like that. Mm-hmm. And I started on YouTube. I didn't start doing YouTube as a job till I was like 20. Right? Like, yeah. I mean, back then, though, I wasn't like taking it very seriously. It's not like I was uploading like every week or, you know, whatever. But like, that's when I was like getting started and I was uploading videos and I was tagging them with these weird tags and blah, blah, blah. You know, like that's when I started. And like, you know, when I started seriously doing YouTube, I had like, it was like a little over 1,000 subscribers. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to really commit into this. And I just really committed into it. And then, well, here I am now.
Yeah. So. And, you know, it's a wonky path because there's so many things to play into it. The people you meet along the way, the types of videos you make, the different games and topics that happen throughout when you're doing it. Like, nobody's going to predict anything. It's impossible. You have to just kind of go along for the ride and hope something happens and all the right, you know, formulas and equations and everything just add up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this honestly makes me want to crescendo as well into even we'll talk about this in the school podcast as well, but it also has to do with everything else we're talking about. How one of the things is, all right, yeah, one of the things they teach you in school is what to learn, but they don't teach you how to learn. We talked about this one time in a previous podcast where I brought up the point where I said, at least I think I talked to you about it, where I said, you go into your literature class in high school and they put a book in front of you. They put in front of you As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. Okay. And they tell you to read this book. Why? Oh, well, because it's a really deep and like, you know, whatever book and like Herder, you're going to learn some lessons from it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But why am I reading this? There's plenty of books with like some weird ass metaphorical messages. Why am I reading this? Why do I have to read in the first place? Why?
Yeah.
Why do we read? Is it just simply to like why is reading so important beyond the acquiring of information? And it was just, it teaches you how to focus. Like, you just drown out the world and you're focusing on the text. It's like meditating. why do we do math beyond, like, why do I need to do this fucking complicated ass math that I'm never going to use in real life? Finding the circumference of a circle and shit. Why? Because it teaches you how to solve problems. Like, don't worry about finding the radius of the circle, whatever. Like, that's not important. What's important is you're learning how to look at a problem and find a solution, either through formulas or by breaking it down into smaller problems that can be solved, which equate to the solution to the greater problem. That's what you're learning. That's why it's so important. And if you stop telling kids, like, yes, you are learning, like I remember being in high school math and some kid was like, why do we have to learn this? Because you just have to. If you stop telling kids what they're supposed to learn and start explaining to them, like, how to learn in the first place and how this will benefit them down the road, that would be lit. I don't know how else to put it other than that. Huge subjects.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good podcast for next week.
Yeah, that could literally be a 5-hour podcast for me. I have huge issues with the American education system. I can't speak for everywhere, but huge issues. And this plays into so many greater issues, even to even greater political issues. Like when people propose solutions to greater problems, I'm like, that's not going to fix anything. You know, like people say, yes, like just like we don't learn a single goddamn thing about money in school, like how to invest. Like you're lucky to even learn how to write a resume in school. I only learned because I was
learn about your taxes.
You don't learn about taxes. You don't learn about how credit cards work. You don't learn about interest rates. You don't learn about a single goddamn thing. And then people say, oh, well, all we got to do is the government should just give us more money. And like, then that'll fix everything. It's like, it doesn't matter if you make $1,000, you have $1,000 worth of problems in your life. And if you make $1 million, you have $1 million worth of problems in your life. And if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
it's why so many athletes and a lot of people that get so much money go broke. And it's like, how do you go broke with $30 million? And it's like, well, they did it.
Or the lottery winners. As soon as you win the lottery, everyone goes fucking broke.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you go broke? Because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what to do with like that wealth that you've got. So giving people free money doesn't do anything. It doesn't accomplish anything in the slightest. So there's a lot I could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've read a lot of books.
Yes.
It's
all right. Well, we should probably wrap it up then.
Yeah, because you have to stream.
I have to stream.
Yeah.
It was gonna be a short one, but then we ended up ranting, and here we are.
Yeah. But yeah, so. I mean, don't take anything that I'm saying or Krendor is saying as dogma. Just look at like, hey, like this is how these guys look at things, and just be like, how do I look at things, and compare and learn and let it add and grow you like a flower. It's great. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Yep. So I mean, I did the intro, so you can do the outro.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening. I was going to say watching. There's not that much to watch, but hey, thanks for watching. If you watch the screen for that long.
Unblinking eyes.
Go buy our stuff, Krensloth.com and the Nixxiom Corner Store.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, just think of how cool you're going to look wearing those items you buy from us. You're going to look so cool.
That's right.
You're going to look so cool.
So cool.
So cool.
That's right.
And then subscribe, follow all our stuff. There's a whole bunch of things we have. Just Google our names. You'll find it.
Yep.
And that's all I got.
That's all you got. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And leave your comments down below. We'll look at the comments. And if you guys have any questions, maybe we can answer them. Maybe a good other podcast idea would be a Q&A at some point. That'd be neat. And yeah, guys. We'll see you soon. So, Mr. Krendor, last word.
See ya.